The buck falls to one person. It's not Alina Habba or Carolyn Levitt or Dan Bongino or Kash Patel. It's Trump himself.
While on a panel with Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Brian Tyler-Cohen makes sure that MAGA supporters, Natalie Winters, and Ben Ferguson don't try to pass the buck on everybody else in the administration, but focus on the head of the fish. But even though they usually have ridiculous takes on many things, on most things actually, they seem to be pretty reasonable with the Epstein situation and the probable cover-up that's happening. So let's watch these clips, and I'll give my thoughts on it afterwards.
Because this is raging away. You know, the administration having got everybody very excited. I had one of the administration on Uncensored, Alina Habba. Let's remind people what she told me literally like 2-3 months ago.
It is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Piers, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Kash and Pam, there will be accountability.
Now, Ben, that clip has had millions and millions of views this week, understandably, because there's a massive disconnect between what she told me there and what Pam Bondi was saying and what others were saying and what's actually materialized in the last 48 hours. Senator Cruz there very firmly that he wants everything put out and he wants criminal action taken against those who broke the law. What's your view?
Now, right before we get into what Ben Ferguson has to say, I like that Piers Morgan is actually trying to remain some type of neutral in this. And obviously, with this situation, it's very difficult to just be partisan and say, I believe the government no matter what. Especially because, as we'll see, even diehard supporters believe that all the information we have shouldn't be protected or destroyed or kept secret.
Couldn't agree more. Look, I think there's transparency the American people deserve, but not just the American people. Most importantly, the victims. They deserve to not have this be covered up in any capacity or for people to just stop looking. I don't know if there's certain information that has disappeared or wasn't there that they thought was there, but at the end of the day, all that we do have needs to be put out there in a responsible way. You have to protect the victims. That is something that's extremely important. And so it's got to be done in an orderly way. But there are too many people that have talked about this on the record saying that there's a lot of stuff out there to then all of a sudden say, all right, well, maybe we don't have it. Maybe it's not there. Whatever the story is, give it to everyone the same way and make sure you protect those victims. But they deserve justice. And I don't think this is going to be the end of the story. I think there's far too many people that are asking the questions that you just mentioned, that the senator mentioned, that I'm mentioning. And this should be nonpartisan. This should be non-political. You have children that apparently were sex trafficked and abused in horrific ways. That has nothing to do with politics. It should come out whether the people that were the perpetrators of this were liberal or conservative or agnostic. It doesn't matter. You need to protect the victims, and we need to make sure things like this never, ever, ever, ever happen again.
Wow. So what do you think this means to the MAGA party? Do you think the government continues this cover up? Because if someone like Ben Ferguson thinks that this shouldn't be a partisan issue, this guy just represents whatever's popular in their party, even when it's ridiculous. So in this case, is he actually representing a major part of the MAGA movement? If you're in the MAGA movement, do you agree with Ben Ferguson? And if you're not in the MAGA movement, do you think the people that are in the MAGA movement are going to play ball? Or are they going to finally put their foot down and realize they've been getting conned the whole time? Let me know in the comment section.
Right. Brian Tyler-Cohen, I mean, I do think it's a non-partisan issue. Obviously, nothing is these days. But I do think that it is completely baffling to me, just as a journalist, that you have this extraordinary scandal that rages away for many years. The main perpetrator dies in prison and is believed to have taken his own life. But the only person that's actually been made criminally accountable and is now languishing in prison is Ghislaine Maxwell, his kind of madame figure, who's a woman. So none of the other men who are widely believed to have been involved in this, none of them have been made accountable. What's your view of this?
Yeah, I mean, my view is that this is a con job by this administration. All of these people, Kash Patel, Alina Habba, Dan Bongino, Donald Trump, all of them came forward and said that this was a priority for them because they were stringing their supporters along. And then the moment they get into power, here we are in a situation where the whole thing is just closed and we have no further information on this. And yet, look, I think it would be fools to be surprised. I mean, this is a guy, Jeffrey Epstein, who Trump himself palled around with for years. This is a guy who Epstein himself called his closest friend.
He also kicked him out of his club.
This is a guy who Jeffrey Epstein said was his closest friend for 10 years. This is a guy who Donald Trump appointed as his Secretary of Labor, Alex Acosta, who handed him a sweetheart deal, a non-prosecution agreement where he was out of prison 6 out of 7 days a week. So, look, Trump can say what he wants on the campaign trail in the lead up when he needs to get everybody's votes and pander to the base. But at the end of the day, he's the guy in charge. And suddenly the about face from everybody in his administration, the buck falls to one person. It's not Alina Habba or Carolyn Levitt or Dan Bongino or Kash Patel. It's Trump himself.
Even when saying that this is a nonpartisan issue, Ben Ferguson can't help himself. He's still trying to create distance between Trump and Epstein, which we know almost for a fact that there was barely any. They were each other's best friend. Epstein had 14 numbers for Trump. That means even when Trump got a new number, he made sure that this guy had his new one, constantly updating. That's not just a casual friendship that you'll see here and there. Oh yeah, I remember you from college or whatever. That's his man's. If Ben Ferguson is serious about this not being a partisan issue, he has to remove his sycophantic nature and not be so in love with one political figure, because this is clearly way bigger than one man.
Right. I mean, Natalie, the interesting thing in terms of the timeline here is that when Elon Musk fell out pretty spectacularly and suddenly with Donald Trump, one of the things he posted on his X platform was, bombshell. The biggest bombshell is that Trump's in the Epstein files, right? And that was only a few weeks ago. And since then, there seems to have been a concerted effort for this story to just go away. Now, these two things may be completely unconnected. There may be nothing more to it other than Trump obviously was seen around Epstein. They clearly were very friendly for a while. I think he used his plane several times. I don't think that's in dispute. But there does seem to be a weird timeline here of Elon Musk saying that publicly and everything getting shut down a few weeks later. Am I reading too much into this?
Well, look, I think this is very quickly approaching. I mean, we've already passed debacle territory, but just outright grift. And that's probably not something that you would expect me to say, but this is just absolutely reprehensible. I think if you look at what really the MAGA base, the people who elected President Trump, what their sort of concerns have been these past few months is that the administration is not moving fast enough, right? They're not content with the press releases and the tweets. They want to see prison sentences and actual accountability for people that they believe committed crimes. Now, we've hit the point where we're not even getting the press releases or the strongly worded letters. We're getting weird, undated, unnamed memos being released over holiday weekends to legacy media outlets trying to bury it in Axios instead of working with all the new media outlets that the White House, pumped and talked so openly and heavily about being in and around the White House. I mean, this is a bedrock issue. I agree it's nonpartisan, it's non-political to want to get justice for the victims, but I also think that this is something that is both hyper-partisan and hyper-political, because what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, whether it's a foreign intel operation or domestic aside or joint operation, has direct ramifications in probably the policies that we've seen being rolled out, whether through blackmail indirectly or directly through a lot of the political leaders in this nation. I would just say, as someone who has been on shows, co-hosted with a lot of the people, the clips that we've played of people who have called out Jeffrey Epstein for years and made millions of dollars off of it, it is absolutely reprehensible and it is a complete grift. And you have now, in their words, probably become the deep state. If you're going to run cover for this and you think that the MAGA audience is dumb enough to not, be able to go back 2 months and see the comments you were making on Fox News, we need to get this right. I don't even know if I have faith in Pam Bondi anymore, but this is a really, really concerning moment for MAGA.
The only thing she said there that's wrong is saying the MAGA audience might not be dumb enough to not be able to flip their mind or change their positions. It's not about being dumb. It's just about following the leader. If the leader said, we're all going this way, then we're all going this way. If he just decides out of one day, we're all going to just turn around and go the other way, the complete opposite way, then most of them will do that, because it's not about what he's actually saying. Most Trump supporters don't care about what he actually does policy-wise. They only care about following the leader. As long as he continues to stick it to the libs, they're all good. There's some people who have family that are being kidnapped by ICE, and they still say, but I trust and believe in Trump. So the actual policy doesn't matter. It's not about being dumb. It's about feeling like you're part of a group and against the other. So the real question is, will the people that are part of that group feel like they were betrayed by its leader? And then where do those people go? Do they become apolitical, or do they find a new political vessel? Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. And if you're still watching, you might as well like the video and subscribe to the channel. Peace.